and give them an idea of how history isn't just dates and facts, and a lot of it's really funny. A lot of it's fun and it's interesting, but we don't teach that because it's not in our standards. And I don't want to get into standards, but I do my best to teach in between the standards as well. Little stories, little
leaning context.
Yes, they do. And it's interesting finding out that Abraham Lincoln had to sneak into the White House because they were afraid he was going to get assassinated before he could even make it to the White House. And they snuck him in a train. It's crazy. And it's just little things like that as they're taking notes and you can't move on because people are still taking notes, you can just throw that out there. It's interesting. And again, that could be that one spark where someone says, did that really happen?
Hey there, fellow educators, and honestly, anyone who's ever wondered what would happen if we actually listened to teachers for once. I'm Leah Cleary, and this is If Teachers Ruled the World. You know, after 25 years in the classroom, I've learned that teaching isn't really about having all the answers. It's about being brave enough to ask the right questions, and maybe, just maybe, admitting when we have no idea what we're doing, which, let's be honest, happens more often than we'd like to admit. So grab your coffee, or whatever, and let's talk about the real stuff, the messy, imperfect, sometimes beautiful reality of what it's like to shape young minds while trying to keep our own sanity intact. Because if we're going to change the world, we might as well be honest about what that actually looks like. All right, let's dive in. Today, I'm doing something I've never done before on this podcast. I'm interviewing my husband, Joey Cleary, and I have to say I'm genuinely happy about it, even though we're about to prove just how different two teachers in the same house can be. Joey teaches U.S. history and government, and he comes to education from a completely different path than I did. Before he became a teacher, he was a professional actor doing voiceover work in theater. For years, we had opposite schedules. I'd be at school while he was sleeping after a late-night performance, and he'd be heading to rehearsal when I was at home grading papers. My teacher friends never met him because of that. They started calling him my fake husband because I talked about him, but he never showed up to anything. When they finally did meet Joey, almost every single one of them said the same thing. He needs to go back to school and become a teacher. And they were right. Joey and I could not be more different as teachers. I'm literacy-driven, skills-focused. I approach teaching like a craft, something to study, refine, and hone over time. Joey, well, he approaches teaching more like an art, complete with set design. His classroom has the soft lighting, historical images on every wall, and a different AI-generated image of him every single day. Yeah, he does that. You'll hear about the unicorn. Neither approach is wrong, they're just different. And honestly, Joey's the type of teacher most of us had once or twice in our lives and always remember. The one who made the subject come alive. But there's one thing we absolutely agree on. School start times need to change. So let's talk about what happens when that unforgettable teacher has to teach first block. Hello, Joey.
Hello, Leah.
I'm not 100% sure how I feel about having you on the show.
Well, no, I guess we'll find out.
Well, I've got to say this. When I read the form, because, just like everybody else, you fill out the form.
Stupid form. Yeah.
Stupid form, long form. I read your teacher law, and it was pretty funny to me because it was very similar to the one that I proposed in the first teacher voice episode.
And we didn't talk about it because we don't talk that much at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, you haven't even listened to it. You've listened to a couple of the episodes. You've given me some very constructive criticism.
Criticism is a good word.
Yeah, I've talked about you on the show.
You better.
Yeah, well, I have.
Good.
But you haven't heard it. And so I just laughed when I read your teacher law because you, my friend, and I are on the same wavelength. So weird.
Yeah, first block, especially at the age range of, I would say, between 14 and 18, definitely is not conducive to learning that early for that brain level and function.
Oh, yeah, I would agree. So you're saying later start time.
Yeah, so I have first block and third block, I teach the same thing. I teach U.S. history. And I just see a drastic change, a drastic difference in numbers in statistics when I look at tardies, attendance levels, grades, and most recently cheating. A lot of copying, a lot of AI, a lot of quickly just trying to get the work done without trying to get it done right or understanding the concept that the work is trying to provide.
And that's from your first block, not your third. And this is a pattern that you've noticed.
It is absolutely unbelievable. A great example is this past Monday. I was not there, and I don't know if U.S. history teachers still do this, but I love to show video clips.
All right, stop. He was playing hooky from work to take me to a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay, yeah. But I left a video, America, the Story of Us. And first block and third block, all they have to do is watch the video and just type in the answer. I even tell them how easy it is to cheat on it, and I can catch them cheating no matter what they do because it records every keystroke. When I got back on Tuesday, 9 out of 14 of my first block students got zeros for cheating. 0 out of my 19 students in third block got zeros for cheating, and I attribute that all to it being too early. They're too tired. They just want to get through the block. They don't have the brain function yet that early to absorb the information they need to actually learn, in my opinion. I'm not a specialist.
No, but there are, to be fair, lots of studies to back that up. I don't have any of them in front of me. I'll definitely link to some in the show notes. I know I did for the episode I did on this, but you've observed that this year. Have you observed it in previous years as well?
I've actually had to ask our counselor to switch my seniors and juniors. I teach economics, and that's the 12th grade. I asked our counselor to switch our seniors from first block to second block because they were self-sabotaging their own graduations by not showing up on time or showing up at all, not doing the work as well as they could do. I just had to switch it. They're seniors. They have to graduate. Juniors at least have another year to try and steady the ship. But my anxiety with my seniors, I was getting more anxious about their failing than they were.
Yeah, you don't want to be the reason that they don't graduate from high school.
And
like, you don't want your course to be the reason.
Correct. And when you tell them over and over they need this to graduate, it does not compute until the last few weeks of school. They try and do their best to try and get everything they can. So it's very upsetting.
Yeah, well, they don't really have the capacity to see that far into the future yet. And they're living in the moment. And the moment is my body doesn't want to wake up at 6 a.m. so that I can be in first block.
The thing that I'm noticing is that some of them can drive. The ones that can drive are the ones that have the biggest problem getting there. They can't seem to get up and get to school in enough time. I have a student who is failing. He has so many absences. His tardies so much. And when I talk to him about it, he literally tells me, I leave from home every day at 7:30 a.m. and I can't get here on time. I'm not leaving earlier. And I do not know how to tell him that this may be the reason that he's going to fail. It does not seem to bother him. He's making a stand. And I see students are almost doing that in first block. They're making a stand against having to be there so early by just not doing anything in first block.
And when you talk to their parents about this, what do their parents say about that? our guardians?
I try and talk. I send emails. I send personal emails. Made a couple phone calls. A lot of responses I get are excuses or parents who are fed up themselves because they cannot get their child to focus on school.
They're tired of fighting with an 18-year-old every day.
Or 16, 17. Yeah. I teach upperclassmen. The students I teach are all drivers. So that's the struggle. They could just come and go as they please.
This is why I love my freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah. It is an issue.
So tell me what exactly you would propose instead. If you as a teacher actually had the power to enact this law, how would you enact it?
3-block day. Teachers have to be at work at 8:15. School doesn't start till 9:45. All teachers get that first block as planning. We get to print our stuff up, get our grades in, set up the class, do what we need to do, get our coffee, wake up ourselves. I'm a morning person. You're not a morning person.
No, I'm not.
So I have no problem being happy in the morning.
Yeah, I can actually empathize with those students. And when you said that student doesn't want to leave before 7:30, I get that.
I don't. I get to work and I'm just happy. I'm just always a happy guy just always having a good attitude. Just because everything is fun to me. I rarely have a bad time somewhere, but in that's also goes into my teaching.
Yeah, I can attest to that because, one of the reasons that I fell for you many, many years ago, we're about to have our 25th wedding anniversary. One of the reasons was just your attitude. You do have a lot of fun everywhere you go, and you're funny. And other teachers have told me, teachers that you work with, that you bring that to your classroom.
I try to. I want my students to not hate my class. Of course, not every student's going to love your class. I get that. I'm not trying to be dangerous minds here and change everybody's lives. I know that's a fantasy, but I do try and make my class, interactive. We talk, we discuss. I draw things on the board. I illustrate. I make sure that they understand not just why things happen, but how, especially in U.S. history when we're dealing with regional chaos. One of the things I tell them is, I'm not going to be the reason this class is boring. You're going to be the reason this class is boring.
No, sir, nothing you do is ever boring.
No, I put a new AI image of myself up every day for them to look at, whether I'm riding a dragon or floating on a cloud.
Okay, wait. Here's what we're going to do. For this episode, cover on my website. So you have to go to leahcleary.com/podcast. Or no, it's /. I always get forward and backslashes confused.
Yeah, I don't.
Anyway, it's /podcast. You can click on this episode there. I am going to have one of Joey Cleary's famous AI images on the cover.
I will give my favorite one that made everybody in the classroom, or everybody in all my classrooms, and I post a new one every day. I even have students that I do not teach that pop into my classroom every day just to see what my new AI image is.
Oh, yeah, I'd be that person.
And they ask me what I teach, and they want to make sure they get me in the future. That's actually one of my goals. I decorate my hallway. When I'm in the hall and students are just passing by, I try and greet them positively and have a good attitude, learn their names if I see them constantly. And hey, man, just when you get U.S. history, you get econ, make sure you ask for old Cleary here. I'll take care of you.
Okay, wait. So there's two things I want to talk about with that. The first one is, what image can people expect to see? What is this an image of?
So I put...
Your most famous.
So I use this as meta AI, and I put the Imagine Me thing, and I put Imagine Me as a unicorn, and you'll see what popped up. It is truly, truly frightening. It is absolutely nightmare fuel, and you're welcome.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. So the second question is, you were talking about how you want students to take your class, how you want students to be excited about taking your class, and how you build a classroom and really a little school community on your hallway with your decoration. Okay, that's something that's really important to me too, because I think that classroom community is way more important than classroom management.
I agree.
Yeah, my question to you is, do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
I don't know. Is that part of your teaching philosophy? That's my question to you.
Yes. My teaching philosophy has a lot to do with comfort and inviting, just feeling like this is a learning environment. This is where I want to learn U.S. history, meaning I got into teaching because I love to teach U.S. history, not necessarily because I love to teach. I realized when I worked at GameStop as a manager that
For a long time.
For a long time, little plug there, that I work well with teenagers and I work well with leading them. So I put history and my leadership skills in teenagers and I mashed them together and I became a teacher. So my main goal is for them to get excited about history and learn the history, how important it is for them to understand the history. And it just takes one thing. It just takes one little thing that they see, whether it's an image or they hear, whether it's a story. And next thing you know, they come up and they'll ask about it. And they'll ask about another thing. And then they'll ask about another thing. Then they'll ask about books or they'll ask about movies. Next thing you know, you have a historian for life. And I think it all starts with imagery and storytelling. And I believe that imagination that these teenagers still have, we all had back then when, everything was magical. We still had dreams and hopes.
Shooting stars.
Yeah, shooting stars. And to look back in history and realize, hey, I'm living in history right now, or I actually really enjoy reading about what happened in the past. I try and spark that through everything that I produce in my classroom, whether it's I'm telling a story, there's a video clip or a movie clip. I'm a huge fan of teaching through scenes in movies. The arts are a wonderful way to teach. To use that format in teaching opens the door a lot and bounces things around their heads and allows them to absorb in different ways besides the rote vocab, study guide, the homework questions. They get to see dramatic interpretations, get to hear professionals and professors talk about archaeological sites or see artifacts live on screen. It's nice. And again, all it takes is one little thing and I'll get a question. What happened there? What is that? So what does it mean? And that's how I know I got them. So soft lighting, this may go back to first block, but I do have soft lighting. It is my opinion that the bright fluorescent lights would hurt more than help.
Oh, sure. They give some people, migraine.
Yes. So I have lamps with soft lighting to make sure that their eyes are not overstressed.
Yeah, because the flickering strains them.
Every wall is filled with some sort of American history, from American propaganda to American flags. I do have a Godfather poster up over my desk. I have the presidential seal to let them know how important I am in the classroom.
Of course, you are the president of your classroom. All of this is very. You've got a setting, and you're very theatrical in how you teach.
Yes, I am. I bounce off the walls. I tell them I'm a spaz. I actually tell them I'm a spaz. I am up here for your pleasure, and I try and loosen them up. They have a hard time loosening up.
How does your theater because you were a professional actor. We actually met when you were doing that.
Yeah.
How does your theater and acting background play into all of that?
I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed by publicly speaking. I do voices. Yeah, I do accents. I tell stories with flourish and flamboyance.
Yeah, well, when we first got married, you were doing a lot of voiceover work, and
yes, I was doing some voiceover.
Do pretty much imitate anybody.
That's I appreciate that compliment, but I can do some voices. I'll just leave it at that. And I just like to have fun, and give them an idea of how history isn't just dates and facts, and a lot of it's really funny. A lot of it's fun and it's interesting, but we don't teach that because it's not in our standards. And I don't want to get into standards, but I I do my best to teach in between the standards as well. Little stories, little...
Well, they need context.
Yes, they do. And it's interesting finding out that Abraham Lincoln had to sneak into the White House because they were afraid he was going to get assassinated before he could even make it to the White House. And they snuck him in a train. It's crazy. And it's just little things like that as they're taking notes and you can't move on because people are still taking notes, you can just throw that out there. It's interesting. And again, that could be that one spark where someone says, did that really happen? And you can say, yes, it did.
You can't make that stuff up.
Yes, exactly. And
that's fun stuff. But no, here's the thing. A lot of history teachers in particular are a little nervous about bringing up things that aren't in the standards. And so we're losing those stories. We're losing that context. Now, I know you were talking to me one time that you were talking about in government or U.S. history, I can't remember which, the Constitution. And you were teaching the standards there, and you still got into trouble over something. Do you want to share that story?
I got in trouble. I was teaching law, and I was teaching Supreme Court cases.
Okay, so
Government.
Yeah.
And one of the Supreme Court cases, I can't remember off the top of my head, was about flag burning. And I do believe it is a topic that is reemerged recently, but this was, I want to say, about 8 years ago. So this was a while ago. And this is just how long the political climate has been as it is.
Insane.
I have said, teaching about the Supreme Court case that said that burning the American flag is not illegal. And I told the students, you could go home right now and burn the American flag. And if your neighbors saw you and called the cops, they wouldn't be able to do anything because it's legal. The next day, I got a visit from my principal. He sat in my classroom and he observed me. And it wasn't time for him to observe me, so I knew I was in trouble, which, of course,
Yeah.
No administrator is just going to come in and see how you teach. Just, hey, I got an extra 10 minutes. Let's just pop into Cleary's room and see what's going on.
Oh, yeah, no, they're a little busy for that.
No, they only come in if they have to.
Yeah.
So since it wasn't time for him to observe, I knew something was going on. And after the class was over, he said he was asked by a parent to observe my class, and they said that I had promoted flag burning in my classroom.
Oh.
And so he was asked to sit in my classroom and see what kind of radical ideas I'm teaching. This is
teaching a Supreme Court case.
This is the pitfalls of teaching facts.
Yeah.
Not just teaching opinions. I didn't tell them that they should go home and burn the American flag. I said that it was not illegal to go home and burn the American flag.
Well, you were teaching about the Constitution and a Supreme Court case, a specific one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
well, one would think that flag burning, as reprehensible as I think it is, and I know you think it is, we very much love our country and respect our flag.
Absolutely.
But I would think that would be no question. I mean, it's freedom of expression, which is constitutional.
Well, yes, but we also work with imagery especially in history. We deal with swastikas, and the rebel flag. So the imagery of seeing a burning flag or seeing someone burn the American flag has its consequence. So yes, it's legal, but whether you should or shouldn't is based on your own morality. It's not based on any type of legality. It's how you perceive the American flag and the action of burning it.
I would definitely not want to teach government in this climate. All right, so we've digressed a little, and that's fine. I think it's an important conversation to have. But going back to teachers ruling the world and getting to shape educational policy.
And my schedule of 3 blocks a day.
Yes, the dream.
The dream.
And starting late.
That's why 3 blocks a day, yes.
I have a surprise question for you, Mr. Cleary.
Uh-oh.
And that's because you and I have this conversation a lot. And I'd just like for you to talk a little bit about how you, my friend, would shape the school year. Back to you. Draw me a bed.
I hate the way our school year is shaped. I know that the only reason why we still have the school year the way that we have it is to plant crops and for crop seasons and planting and harvesting. We don't need the school year this way anymore.
But I need to harvest my crops.
People have gotten used to it and they take their vacations on it, and that's fun and fine, and I think that's great, but I hate the summertime and I hate going to the beach. I would much rather go to the mountains, and I would much rather have my time between Thanksgiving and Christmas and take my vacation then. That would be my wonderful time to have off. I could watch my Christmas movies and keep my candles on, drink coffee all day, dress in warm clothes, by the fire. But I'll have all this vacation time. So here's my plan, which I know everybody's going to hate, but I'm going to say it anyway. We start school the Monday after the 4th of July.
I don't like it because we'd be in school for my birthday.
Yeah, well, I don't care about that.
I know you don't.
And then we get out at Thanksgiving, and we don't go back until after New Year's Day. So that gives us that chunk of time between Thanksgiving and Christmas where we could go and spend time. It makes more sense.
Actually enjoy the season.
Yes, and it spreads our time out because I would just rather have it that way. So, yes, everybody please write in a vote somewhere and make it happen.
Yeah. Talk to the people who make decisions, which is not educators.
Not us.
Not us, no. Politicians, I believe, most of them have never taught in their lives.
No.
All right, Joey Cleary, I want to thank you for being on this show. I have really enjoyed talking to you in this capacity.
Yes, thank you, Leah. Yes, this was wonderful capacity. I'll see you at home. Thank you. What's for dinner?
You tell me, you're the one who's cooking. Bye now.
Bye now.
So that's Joey Cleary. Unicorns, AI images, and all. If you couldn't tell, I'm pretty proud of the teacher he's become. Even if our classrooms look completely different, we're both trying to do the same thing. Reach kids where they are and help them learn. But here's what really stuck with me from this conversation. 9 out of 14 first block students got zeros for cheating on the same assignment, where 0 out of 19 third block students cheated. Same teacher, same assignment, same expectations. One clear difference: the time of day. We also talked about how Joey uses theater and storytelling to bring history to life, why he decorates his classroom like a set, and that time he got in trouble for teaching a Supreme Court case in a government class. And yes, his dream school calendar that would give us all Thanksgiving through New Year's off. And I have to say, I'm with him on that. But the start time issue, that's what we both keep coming back to. Joey's not asking for the world here, just a later start time and a schedule that acknowledges what we already know about adolescent brains. Thanks for listening to this episode of If Teachers Ruled the World. If you want to see Joey's famous, or should I say infamous, unicorn image, and trust me, you do, head to leahcleary.com/podcast and check out the episode page. Until next time, remember, if teachers ruled the world, First Block would not exist. That's it for this week on If Teachers Ruled the World. Be sure to subscribe, share with a teacher friend, and join the conversation at leahcleary.com. Until next time, keep ruling your classroom and rewriting the rules.